This is the SF Productions Podcast Network.
I think the internet needs a dose of bat sleep, old chum.
From the Pop Culture Bunker, I'm Mindy.
And I'm Mark. You can check out our audio podcast, How I Got My Wife to Read Comics, on iTunes or on our website, sfpodcastnetwork.com. Well, the big movie news this past week is that Ben Affleck is the new Batman in Batman vs. Superman, coming out in 2015.
And boy,
The internet exploded.
people went crazy.
And they didn't like it.
No.
Apparently people went on to change.org and tried to start a petition, not understanding that's political stuff, not so much superhero movie choices.
Well, yeah, but...
In any case, before we get into that, I wanted to review the various incarnations and actors who've played the Caped Crusader throughout the years. And that starts with the Batman movie serials. So again, back in the old days, you would go to the movies and there would be a major feature and maybe a B feature and a cartoon, and there would also be these movie serials that were very cheaply made, and they each would have a cliffhanger every week.
I've seen serials, but I don't think I've ever seen the Batman movie serials.
So there were two of them. First one was in 1943, and Batman was played by Lewis Wilson, who almost sounds British for some reason.
Well, that's that upper crust accent you get back in those movies, those time periods.
And then 1949, Robert Lowry. Now, in both cases, we get to see Batman and Robin. Now, neither of these had any budget to speak of. The costumes look like the absolute worst version of cosplay, like maybe something your 6-year-old would make.
Yes, but that would make it really good and easy to do cosplay for a convention. True. Then you could say, yes, I'm the 1943 Batman movie serial Batman.
The sets are cardboard. They're ridiculous storylines. You don't get a Batmobile, you just get an old sedan.
Now, I think you were watching one of these once, and it was like kind of parked on the side of the road in front of the mansion. That wasn't really a mansion. It looked more like a McMansion in a suburb.
Residential home, yeah.
Oh.
We also get a dose of Asian racism in the 1943 version.
Well, that would make sense because it was during World War II.
Yeah. Plus, you get zombies. Ooh. Now, both are in the public domain, and you can find them on YouTube. And the 1949 serial is currently being MST'd over on Riff Tracks.
And that's the one you've been watching.
Exactly.
So.
Now, the serials were so bad, we didn't see The Dark Knight again until Adam West, the Batman TV series, 1966 to 68, which practically invented the whole idea of camp.
Yes.
West inhabits this very bizarre, straight-laced hero to the point of ludicrousness. There were 2-part stories shown 2 nights a week on ABC. There was a cliffhanger in the middle, just like the old movie serials.
Yeah, and that was where the old same Bat Time, same Bat Channel came in.
Yeah. Became a huge hit. Everyone in Hollywood wanted him to be this special guest villain.
Yes.
Or stick their head out of the window as the Batman and Robin are climbing the
side
building.
Of the skyscraper. Yeah.
Right. Interest waned in the show, so they added Batgirl in the 3rd season, which didn't really help. Mm-hmm. It's still not legally available on video because Fox produced the series prior to Warner Brothers buying DC Comics. You can watch it on MeTV, however. He also returned as Adam West as Batman in the terrible Legends of the Superheroes 1979. This live-action thing that NBC did, which was much more played for comedy.
Okay. I don't remember that either.
If you want to laugh and cringe at the same time,
okay.
It's great. West's performance tainted the character for years.
Well, can you say that it was really his performance as much as it was just the whole way they did the series?
Absolutely. So you only really saw Batman for a very long time via animation. Olin Sewell voiced Batman from 1968 all the way to 1984 in the 60s Filmation series, in an episode of Scooby-Doo, in, of course, the long-running Super Friends. He was also a live-action announcer during the Adam West series at one point.
Oh.
Yeah. And then Adam West later came back and did the voice work of Batman in the final Super Friends series. So they kind of traded off.
Okay.
So then Batman moves to the big screen. starting with Michael Keaton.
And nobody liked Michael Keaton when they picked him either.
Exactly. This is 1989. This really started Tim Burton's long directorial career. There were 50,000 protest letters sent to Warner Brothers.
If they would have had the internet then.
Yeah, it would have been the internet, but then all you had was the mail. He did prove to be a huge hit, as did the movie. And of course, this included Jack Nicholson's Joker. Mm-hmm. And then he followed that up with Batman Returns in 1992, which involved Danny DeVito's Penguin and Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman and Catwoman's outfit.
Yeah. Now, I have to say, I think this also introduced the idea of having to have more than one big villain at a time. Mm-hmm. And I didn't like that about the movies. But we're not talking about that now. We're talking about who played.
Yeah, but it did all pretty much become the villains were the stars at that point. Mm-hmm. So the franchise became a huge hit to the point where a new animated series was launched. And Kevin Conroy voiced the world's greatest detective from 1992 until really today.
Am I supposed to know who that is, or just...
You certainly know the voice.
Okay.
In multiple series. He was in the animated series, in the new Batman Adventures, in Batman Beyond, in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, multiple DCU direct-to-video films.
Which are much better, in my opinion, than the ones that go to the theater.
Yeah. Plus multiple video games. And in fact, he's still doing that role. And to probably a generation of kids, that voice is Batman.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, back in the theaters, Val Kilmer, Batman Forever in 1995. Joel Schumacher replaces Tim Burton, to the detriment of the series. Chris O'Donnell is Robin. Jim Carrey is the Riddler. Tommy Lee Jones is Two-Face. Again, multiple villains.
Yes.
It was a hit, but really had mixed reviews.
Yeah. Well, as do most DC superhero movies.
True. And then, George Clooney, 1997, in Batman and Robin, How to Kill a Franchise.
Well, and again, I don't think it was George Clooney who killed it. So much it was everything else about that movie.
But he's the one that's blamed. It involves rubber suits with nipples, where Alfred makes one of these rubber suits for his great niece. Ew.
Yes.
It's much more cartoony. Arnold is Mr. Freeze. Uma Thurman is Poison Ivy. And Alicia Silverstone is Batgirl. It did make money, but it was basically crushed in the reviews.
Yeah.
So it took 10 years for Hollywood to get the bad taste out of their mouths.
See, and I happen to think that if they would have jumped right back in and done a different Batman, just like Marvel was doing with the Hulk movies.
Right. Just try again.
Try again.
Yeah.
Get it out there.
Nope.
Forget about that.
Nope.
But no.
So we jump all the way to Christian Bale and the Christopher Nolan trilogy, starting with Batman Begins, 2005, with Liam Neeson's Ra's al Ghul. The Dark Knight, 2008, with Heath Ledger's Joker, which occurred just before his death.
And that was another casting choice that was really...
People hated it.
But
and yet, people were like, wow, this was incredible. And then,
yes.
And then the fact that he died before the movie even came out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then The Dark Knight Rises in 2012, with Tom Hardy's Bane and Anne Hathaway's Catwoman. They were all critical hits and critical successes. Mm-hmm. Made huge amounts of money. But Christian Bale's voice, where are they?
So, the other thing that movie did, though, was it introduced the detective character that was played by the young actor. I can't remember his name.
Gordon Levitt.
Yes. And I really thought that they should have made him Batman after that.
Well, that's certainly the way they set it up
I think that would have been the most inspired choice. So, why Ben Affleck?
So, you got to keep in mind about Affleck, as we mentioned, the initial reaction to Keaton was hugely negative, and my reaction to Affleck initially this week was very negative. But can Affleck really be fully blamed for the Daredevil movie? He does get the blame, in the press, but, there's a bad script, there's bad producing, there's bad directing. He already played Superman, actually, in Hollywoodland as the George Reeves Superman. Mm-hmm. So he's actually played Superman before. Now, one thing that concerned me initially was well, are they going to have a bat apple crate for him to stand on against Superman? Ben Affleck at 6'4" is actually taller than Henry Cavill at 6'1".
So there you go.
So that was like, wow, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And I think that he can act when he's given the chance. I think he's probably a better director at this point.
Yeah.
Than he is an actor.
Well, he's just made so many bad movies. Or maybe not so many bad movies, but just movies that are so bad.
Right.
I mean, you look at a movie like Gigli or something like that. I mean, can you get over those movies?
Yeah. But the last few films, especially, I think he's redeemed himself, and especially with Argo. So, of course, there's no use really prognosticating before a movie comes out, because you just don't know what they're going to do. That won't stop the internet, but...
No, it won't. And it won't stop us from going to see the movie either.
No, we'll see it.
Yeah, and you can check out our audio podcast, How I Got My Wife to Read Comics, on iTunes or on our website, sfpodcastnetwork.com. From the Pop Culture Bunker, I'm Mindy.
And I'm Mark. Thanks for watching.